Hey guys, so today I am going to talk to you a little bit about food. What is food? And talk to you about some of the myths behind the food industry and all the marketing games that are played that are keeping you guys from your best health, right? This is something that I love to expose to other people because there are so many men and women that come to me looking for help in losing weight. A lot of them are my age, right? And they're struggling and they're trying to figure out why. Why is it so hard? They're doing everything that they believe is right and they're eating healthy and they're still struggling with losing some fat. So I have took it upon myself probably a few years ago to start doing nutrition workshops, and I do them in person. And I like to educate people on what exactly food is and why we are eating food, what it does for us, and really the secrets to losing unwanted fat. And I also expose the food industry, right? And we have all been led to believe that some of these healthy things on the market are really healthy for us. And what I discovered is they're not so healthy, and they were actually um, promoting inflammation in my body. So when you get older, your metabolism slows down. When you eat less food because you're trying to lose weight or lose fat, that slows down your metabolism. And we already have a slow metabolism as we age. So the name of the game is, how do we increase that metabolism, right? And still lose the weight by eating less. So I love teaching people about real food. In my platform shows people how to cook with real food and how to make really good, nutritious food that doesn't seem like a diet. So I'm going to walk you through just one of my presentations that I normally do in real life and break down some things about the marketing myths of the food industry, and then talk about what food is and what it does, and let you see what it is that I do to help people actually get results. All right, so hopefully you can see the screen right here. This is my first screen, nutrition workshop. This is basically 101, you know, what I show to people when I do a nutrition workshop. And here's a great question. Are you letting the food industry tell you how to lose weight? I mean, take a look there, right? You have Healthy Choice, you have Diet Coke, you have 100 calorie packs, right? 100 calorie popcorn, microwave popcorn, Greek yogurt, smart ones, chewy granola bars. You know, are you falling for this low calorie scam, right? Because you're trying to lose weight and you're eating these healthy foods. Are you falling for it? So I'm just going to go over some of the facts here for you. First of all, 52% of Americans believe it is easier to do their taxes than it is to eat healthy. And that's a really true statement, right? I mean, so many people out there struggle with what to eat. So much so that I created a recipe book that gives people recipes, and it's my spin on some really good, like classic recipes, but I've made them healthy. Because I get that question all the time. It's like, what do you eat? No, you don't have to just eat salads, right? You can actually eat really good food. So a lot of people struggle with this. The next 9 out of 10 people, they self-report that their health is good or better. Very true statement. And here's the reality of it. 74% are overweight, 33% are obese, 16% are morbidly obese. These are shocking statistics because a lot of people don't realize that they are overweight. And BMI, although I don't really like the BMI charts, I don't feel like they're accurate, and I do believe that they are going to be revised. A lot of people do carry a lot more body fat on them than what they are aware of. And a lot of people in their minds are healthy. They don't see things as, a problem. And most people don't see it as a problem until it is too late. And that's usually when people will come to me, is that they're scared enough to take an action, right? To do something about it, because being healthy can be very hard, right? Especially if you don't know what you're doing. And the last one here, 75% market their buying decisions based on the front of the package, not the back. So, let's think about this. I just showed you a screen that showed you right here, fiber one, right? People need more fiber in their diet. 100 calories, because people are going to lower calories because they think that's what they need to do to lose weight. Only 90 calories. The chewy granola bar has, 8 grams up here in the upper left-hand corner. A lot of them will have gluten-free on the package, low fat, high protein, keywords like keto, right? Because that's a great buzzword. So people will see that on the front of the package, but they neglect to turn over the package and actually look at the ingredients. So here are some other marketing myths that they use, and then basically they manipulate to make claims. So let me tell you about them. All right, fresh simply means that it hasn't been frozen. That's it. Doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means it hasn't been frozen. Farm fresh really doesn't mean anything, but that buzzword farm in front of it makes it appear that it is healthier. Really doesn't mean anything. Light versus regular or fat-free. Well, newsflash, it has just as many calories, and usually it will have more sugar or more salt because they're making up for it someplace else. USDA, you see that stamp of approval? It does not mean healthy, not whatsoever. Organic doesn't mean healthy either. And you'll see that flashed all over in front of packages, right? So something that is organically grown usually, is healthier. But if it's mixed in with all different ingredients, that's garbage. It's not going to make it healthy. Or if it has a lot of sugar in it, it's not going to make it healthy. No sugar does not mean no sugar. Oftentimes, artificial sweetener is used. And here's a great lesson for you guys all to understand about artificial sweeteners. When you consume something that is made with an artificial sweetener, so not a naturally derived sweetener like a stevia or maybe a cane sugar, but an artificial sweetener, your body, when it takes it in, thinks that, oh my gosh, here comes sugar. So your blood is actually going to release insulin. So your body produces insulin, your blood releases the insulin, and it goes to look for that sugar, to attack it, to break it down, right? And doesn't find the sugar. And the substance that was in your body, right, that came into your body, it just shoves it aside and stores it as fat. So if you've ever heard anybody say that, drinking Diet Coke, it actually is worse for you than sugar, or a regular Coke. My uncle used to say that all the time, and I thought, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, in reality, he did. It's a true statement. And if anybody would just give up soda in general, you'll lose weight real quick. And if you give up diet soda, absolutely, you'll definitely lose some of that unwanted fat. So here's great examples of labels, and this is really what I coach people on. So take a look at in the ingredient label on the left. This is a bogus label, but it's just for example for you. Most people, when they look at labels, they will look right here at the nutrition facts, because the first thing that they're going to be interested in is, oh my gosh, how much of that can I eat? How many calories are in it? It's the first thing that they normally look at. The next thing, big thing, is they may look at carbohydrates, right? So right here, 47 grams of a carbohydrate. Why? Because in everybody's mind, carbohydrates are bad. That is what they've been taught. That's what everybody tells you, is that carbohydrates are bad. So that is the next thing that they look at. Some people then will go look at fat and see what the fat content is. And some other people will actually look at sodium. So this is the label that they look at. Matter of fact, my own family does that. When I say, look at the ingredient labels, it's like, oh, it's only 100 calories. Okay, I didn't say that. I don't want you to look at the calories. I actually want you to look at the ingredients right over here. So instead of looking at the nutrition facts, look at the ingredients. So if we go through this cooked rice, so it's white rice. As a coach, I'm going to tell you I would limit or stay away from anything that's a white rice. Cooked chicken, fine. Olive oil, fine. Soy protein, fine. Now we're going to get down to a modified potato starch, a cornstarch, a carrageenan. So we're starting to see some ingredients that you want to avoid. Anytime you have the word starch in an ingredient, you should eliminate it or avoid it by all costs. So a starch actually will do to your insulin levels what a sugar would do. So it's really quick to respond. It may cause your blood sugar to spike and then drop dramatically. This is a thickener. So when you use corn starch in, or even flour in making gravy or something like that, it's a thickener. So think about this. They're using these ingredients to thicken these products, right? And think about what it's doing in your body. So what else do we have? There's more cornstarch on here. Canola oil, that's another oil that I would highly recommend that you stay away from. Trying to see other things on here, but you get the idea. You're going to look for some things that I'm going to educate you on that you should avoid. The next example right here, you guys should all be familiar with this one on the right. That is Gatorade, right? Everybody drinks Gatorade. So take a look. Water, sugar, dextrose, easy for me to say. Sugar, you don't want sugar. And then if you go to the artificially sweetened ones, right, that are zero sugar, you're going to get what? The sucralose in it, right? You're going to get some artificial sweeteners. And I just told you, you want to stay away from those. But look at this at the very bottom. It says partially produced with genetic engineering. You guys, it's been messed with. All right. So take a look at that, right? Anytime you see that on the label, you want to avoid it. It's not a real food, right? Next one. I know you're familiar with this one, Premier Protein. This actually, I purchased this at the dollar store. So that's quality for you right there. People buy this at Costco. They get it by the cases, and the buzzword right there, it's protein. And people know that they need protein in their body. This has a great big red flashy label. It's 30 grams of a protein. All right. So one fact is I do know that Premier Protein, the company actually did have a class action lawsuit against them. What they were doing was they were spiking that protein number. So while it's saying 30 grams of protein, they were inflating that number, and they did not have the branched chain amino acids, which are building blocks to protein. They did not have the branched chain amino acids in there to back up that claim. So there was a big class action lawsuit. So for one reason, I avoid that because if I'm going to put protein in my body and take extra steps in getting protein, I want to make sure it's quality protein and it has the branched chain amino acids to back it up. The other thing is, if you take a look at the ingredient label, the very, first, second thing on here is safflower oil. This is an oil that I highly recommend that you stay away from. It is high in omega-6s. It actually competes with healthy omega-3s in your body, and it will promote inflammation in your body. So especially, as we age and we're trying to rid our body of some fat and maybe get rid of the puffiness and the inflammation, um, I would at all costs try to stay away from anything in the ingredient label that has sunflower oil in it. We also see that carrageenan ingredient as well. There has been studies that show it is linked to cancer. Again, these are all just based on different studies out there. I think if we dig deep enough in here, there is sucralose in the ingredient label as well. And again, we've already talked about the artificial sweeteners, right? But now let's just take a look at and back up. So, we talked all about food and labeling and the marketing myths that, are behind all of this. But really, what is food? What is food? First and foremost, food is energy, and it's made up of these things called macronutrients. So when you hear people say, I'm counting my macros, that's another buzzword. A lot of people are throwing that around, that they have a macro-based diet. It's a diet based on food. And the food is going to be of good quality or not good quality. So, I do a lot of meal planning based on macros, because I'm going to give you the right types of macros that you need. And what are macros? It's a fat, it's protein, or it's a carbohydrate. That's it. Those are the three things. Can't be anything else. So fat, that's actually going to give you your sense of fullness, your sense of satiation. You want healthy fats in your diet. Fat does not make you fat. Actually, if you eat the right kinds of good, healthy fats, it will actually help you rid your body of fat. So we want to teach you, and that's what I educate people on, is what are the right types of fats. And I already talked to you a little bit about sunflower and safflower oils, right? And soybean oils. Those are all bad oils and fats that you really want to eliminate from your body. So what are some healthy fats? How about some chia seeds, some walnuts, flax seeds, avocado, a nice olive oil, a real olive oil. These are the things that you want to take in your body, like a natural peanut butter, right? And fats, it will give you your sense of fullness. Fats are the last things like to empty from your stomach. So it's going to give you that sense of fullness longer. Protein, it's your muscles, it's your strength, right? Everybody needs muscles. Everybody needs protein in your diet. And quite honestly, when I coach people, I recommend that they get servings of protein at every single meal. I really have them strive for about 100 grams of protein a day in their diet if they want to lose weight and fat. Protein is the key to doing that. And the very last is carbohydrates. And basically, that's your energy. So, forget the myth about carbs are bad. Carbs aren't bad. Carbs are actually amazing. They're energy. It's brain food. It's what you need to think. It gets rid of the fog, right? The brain fog. But there's also the right kinds of carbohydrates to take in your diet. And you got to really be mindful of what are those right kinds of carbs. And that's what I teach you. So that's what food is, right? It's protein, it's carb, it's fat, known as macros. What does your body do with these things? Well, it's going to do three things. It's either going to use it because it recognizes food. If you're taking in the right stuff, it recognizes it as food, and it breaks it down and puts it to work in your body. So it's going to use it. It's going to eliminate it from your body. And if you take in too much energy, right, too much food, it's actually going to store it for fat. So there's another thing that I coach people on, and it's really how to eat and eat small, frequent meals. And the reason we do that is because we don't want your body to go into a starvation mode. We don't want it to store your food later for energy, right? We want you to constantly keep that wood burning stove, your belly. We want to constantly keep it burning and metabolizing food and the great kinds of foods that I teach people about. All right, so we're going to get ready to land this plane right here. So this is really basically the first part of a nutrition workshop. And here it's timing. Timing matters. So you heard me say that, I have people break down their meals and eat smaller meals more frequently to continually to get that metabolism firing, to keep your body working, to breaking down the foods and the nutrients, right? So timing, absolutely, it matters. You want to balance your energy. And I usually ask for people to volunteer and tell me, what does your day look like? How do you normally eat? And since I'm doing this on Zoom, I'm just going to tell you, give you an example of my husband. And I usually have rulers, because I think a ruler, we have two rulers, and that really depicts 24 hours in a day. But I'm going to give you for example of my husband, probably about 5 years ago. Okay. Busy executive. He gets up in the morning, gets up at 5 o'clock. He wasn't working out at that point, and he would basically shower and run out the door. He would go to Starbucks. He would get a big venti, double shot of espresso, something, whatever, at Starbucks, and head into work. He did not eat a breakfast. Coffee was his thing, and he would go to work. And he works all day long, right? So you have that adrenaline going, you're working, you're busy, you don't take time to actually eat. And about 2 or 3 o'clock, you start to hit a wall, and he's like, I'm getting hungry. So he's going to go and do what most people do. And you start looking around in the break rooms or at somebody's desk that has the candy jar, and you're going to look for something, usually sweet, something not healthy, to, give you that little bit of like spike, the sugar rush, right? So he would look for something, eat it, and finish out his day, come on home. The minute he would walk in the door, usually he would have a cocktail, which we'll talk about alcohol in another episode, but he would have a cocktail and then have snacky snacks, right? Because he's waiting on dinner. And his snacky snacks could very well consist of a bowl of nuts or pretzels or whatever, but it's snacky snacks. He's not ready for a meal. He's having his cocktail. He's coming down from the day. And then we eat dinner. And usually by that time, you're hungry, so you overeat on dinner. And then after dinner, you're just kind of like sitting around and vegging around and watching TV. And what do? You get bored, and you munch and you eat a little bit more and you eat a little bit more. So he would end up eating until he went to, snacking, picking snacky snacks, and then go to bed. And then therein would start the cycle all over again. And he wasn't able to like lose weight. He's like, I don't understand it. I don't eat all day and I can't lose this weight. Well, what is happening? First of all, he's starving his body, right? So he's not eating the first half of the day, and he's depriving his body of the nutrients, the energy that it needs at the busiest part of the day, which is when he's at work and working. And he's overeating on the times that he needs the least amount of energy, when he's just vegging out in front of the TV and then going to bed. And he tends to overeat, right? Because you haven't eaten all day and your body's like hungry and you're eating more than you need to. He's not going to the gym. He's not working anything off, and his body just stores that. That's how most people go through life, right? And then when people embark on a healthy lifestyle, right, journey, it's like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. What do? They severely restrict their calories, right? And when you severely restrict your calories, what happens? You slow down your metabolism. And then when you are hungry, you end up eating too much. So timing matters, right? We want to balance that. Here's what a typical day should look like. And this is what I coach. When you wake up in the morning, within about a half hour from waking up, you want to eat breakfast. You want to break the fast. You haven't eaten all night, right? So you want to break the fast. So you want to eat something. And I always coach people, you want a carbohydrate, right? That's brain food, that's energy. You got to get going, right? Got to get going. And you're going to need a protein, because we want the building blocks for muscle, and then a fat, right? A healthy fat, because that's going to give you your sense of fullness that will keep you full a little bit longer. So within a half hour, you're going to eat. And then at about 3 hours after that, you're going to have something again. And usually it's a carb and a protein and a fat, or maybe just a carb and a fat, like maybe an apple and nuts. But you want to eat again. You want to stoke that fire. And then you're going to have lunch. And then about 3 hours after that, you're going to have like another afternoon snack, right? because you don't want to overeat at dinner time. And then you're going to have dinner. So a normal typical day should consist of like a balanced, like steady flow of food coming in, something that you're not overeating. So your blood sugar levels don't spike, right? And then drop dramatically. It's going to keep the glycemic index and the glycemic load at an even keel. That's what a typical day should look like. You guys, when you were born, when you had kids, what is the first thing they do? When you had that baby, they wake up in the morning and they start screaming, right? And they're hungry and you feed them. And you no more than get done feeding them and putting them down for a nap. And then they say, moms, go run and take a nap or do whatever. Within a couple hours, that baby's awake again and crying. I remember calling my mom. I was like, why is he crying again? And she's like, honey, he's probably hungry. And it's like, he just ate, because our mentality is you go for hours and not eat. So we want to bring it back to how a baby was brought into the world. And the last thing I'm going to leave this thought with you. My husband and the way he used to eat, which was starve all day and eat all night, that is actually known as a sumo wrestler technique. The sumo wrestlers get their big Buddha belly, and that's how they do it. Is they actually wake up in the morning, they'll go to the gym and work out. They don't eat anything. Then when they get home, they eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and they fill up. One, it's too much food for your body to actually break down in one sitting. And it sits in their belly. They're inactive right in the afternoon. Then they go to sleep. All that food just sits there. And they wake up and they do it again. And that is actually known as a sumo wrestler technique. You can Google it. And that is how they get that great big sumo wrestler belly. So if you are somebody that skips their meals, right, and wants to lose weight by not eating, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, will not work. So you guys, that was just a first glimpse of a nutrition workshop. And this is what I do. This is what I teach people on. I teach people about the myths behind the marketing industry. I'm going to teach you how to read labels. I'm going to educate you on what to look for. I'm going to teach you about food, right, and how to fuel your bodies appropriately. And I'm going to also leave you with this last thought. And we'll get into this in the next segment. But I learned a lot of this, one, based on me, right? So my biggest asset is my own experience of what I've been through, right? Because I got back into the fitness scene after I had been away being a mom and life happening. I got back into the game in my late 40s, and losing weight when you're over 40 is hard, right? Your metabolism's slow. How do you do that? How do you get the sculpting and get the physique that I've always wanted? Well, I had to start really learning about food and nutrition and studying it, and then teaching people how to do this now, right? And the other thing is I did get my DNA done. And the DNA was very, very explicit and helped me understand exactly what it was that I needed to do for me. So it looked at my carbohydrates and said, hey, you have a high sensitivity to carbs. Well, what does that mean? It says, well, don't eat refined carbs and limit your sugar. Well, it's like, I don't need that stuff. It's like, I don't get it. But then it started digging deeper, and it was showing me things to look for, which I just shared with you, which is one, you want to look for those starches in things, right? I have a high sensitivity to carbohydrates. I don't want my insulin levels to spike, right? I don't want my blood sugar levels to spike and then drop. I don't want my body overproducing this insulin that I don't need. So it teaches you things about, okay, look for the word starch in the ingredients. It also started to expose to me other things that I used to always use because it was convenient, right? And those were instant things. Now they might have been whole grains like instant rice and packaged foods, but I never knew to look at the ingredients, right? I have a high sensitivity to fats and oils. So it wasn't about me eating the wrong kinds. Matter of fact, when I got my DNA and it said, you use olive oil, right? And less safflower and sunflower oils. I'm like, I don't use that stuff anyway. So I kind of let it go over my head. But then when I started researching and I realized that almost every healthy product out there that I was eating was made with a sunflower or safflower oil, that was eye-opening to me. I was like, what the heck? I had no idea. It's no wonder why so many people are struggling, right? Because we are so misled. So DNA, home kit, you guys, great investment, great investment. So it's something that really taught me even more about how my body responds to certain things. I have high inflammation. What do I need to cut out? Um, that was a game changer, and these are all the things that I do uncover in the nutrition workshops. So this was segment one. I am going to talk next time about protein and what that means, and then we're going to land the plane with more talk on carbohydrates and how they're not the enemy. Have a great day.